For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Thavius Beck. I'm a longtime Ableton certified trainer, but beyond all that, I'm a musician. A lot of people don't know that about me. I make music, and I've been producing for probably more than 20 years. I came to Los Angeles about 20 years ago, and at that point, I met a bunch of MCs and producers and whatnot, and we formed this collective, and I was one of the main producers of this group called Global Flotations. And it was a really good way for me to kind of cut my teeth and just learn the in and outs of working with so many different dynamic artists. So this crew of like 10 different MCs, and we recorded everything on an old Tascam 4-track. So I got a lot of practice on bouncing down tracks, of learning how to work within limitations, and try to get the cleanest result when you're dealing with a medium that isn't necessarily inherently clean. You're recording the cassette tapes, you know? So it forced me to learn a lot at a young age. I was doing this at around like 16, from 16 to 19. That was sort of like my training ground for everything that I've gotten involved in since. So after sort of distancing myself from that group, I ended up putting out a lot of solo records, did some under the name Adlib. From there, started doing stuff under my actual name, Thavius Beck. Put out several records with a label called Mush Records. Released my last album about 4 years ago with a label called Plug Research. So that's one aspect of what I do. Is I'm a solo performer. I use tons of electronic gear to make my music. I'm a bit of a tech geek. So that's why I'm really into this. I also work with a lot of other artists to help them set up their Ableton rig or to help them configure their live show setup. So recently I was on the road with an artist named Saul Williams. Some of you may be familiar, some of you may not. He put out a record called Martyr Loser King in January, and I went on the road as his one-man band. So I brought K-Mix with me. I had just gotten my hands on K-Mix. I was really excited about it. It was my first chance to really test it out in some real-world scenarios. And it was awesome because I was able to use K-Mix as our audio interface for the live shows, but then also when I went back to the hotel room, I had a microphone with me and I was able to record and do multi-track sessions in the hotel room with that little mixer and just chuck it in my bag and not worry about knobs and stuff breaking off. So for me, it was cool, not only because of that, but also just, you know, I was performing next to a lot of the front of house engineers. So people would see me, these engineers that work with consoles all the time, and see this little mixer and be like, what the hell is that? You know, and just seeing their reaction, at first disbelief, and then later on being like, oh, that looks really practical, I got to look that up. You know, it was just really cool. So so with that said, I'm here today to show you a few different ways that I've been using K-Mix and to just kind of give you a better understanding of the practical functionality of it, okay? And again, I'm a musician. I'm not employed by Keith McMillen Instruments. I know Keith. I've known him for a while. Big fan of what he's doing. But I'm here because I like what the technology does for me. So I'm not like, you know, Keith doesn't owe me any favors. I don't have any dirt on him yet. We'll see what happens tonight. But so what I have here is I have a bunch of stuff. This is K-Mix here. You guys can see that. So Keith talked to you a little bit about K-Mix, and I will talk to you about how this is all set up and being routed. But first off, just to show you what's here. So we have K-Mix. I'm using this to get audio in and out of Ableton Live. I'm also using this to route audio from certain devices to other devices, okay? So for example, below K-Mix, I have the SP-404. This is a device made by Roland. Really cool. A lot of LA producers have been using this like crazy lately. I'm actually using this strictly for effects. This is one of my favorite little effects processors, and it's just really tangible. You have 3 basic knobs here, and I think there's like 27 or 28 different effects that I can utilize. So this is strictly for effects, all right? So next to that, I have Circuit. This is a little groove box made by Novation. Circuit is cool mainly because it's completely self-contained. There's 4 drum parts, and there's 2 synth parts, and all the sounds are internal. I'm using this primarily to generate different synth sounds and also to generate drums that I can sample. And the audio from Circuit will be routed into this thing over here, if we can pan to the side. So this is important for you guys to see. I know it's kind of hard to like actually see what it is. This is a device made by a company called Elektron, and this is called the Octatrack. We're at a music school, so I'm not really afraid of going over your head by explaining what it does. It's really not that complicated. It's basically a blank slate that can do whatever you want. But the way a lot of people look at it is like it's Ableton Live in a box. It's an 8-track sampler. It also has 8 MIDI tracks, and anything you sample can be time stretched in real time. It's very easy to slice stuff and manipulate things, and there's actually some time stretching ability you have on the Octatrack that you can't really do in live. So this has been my baby lately, and I've actually been using this a lot more for live performance and kind of stepping away from the computer. Now, with all that said, all right, Ableton Live is on my computer, and it's mainly there just for multi-tracking, just for capturing what gets recorded, okay? And I got 4 different tracks set up in Ableton Live, which you can kind of see in the corner. And basically, each set of tracks is for one of the devices I have here. So I have one audio track for my Octatrack, which is track 2, another audio track for my circuit device, it's track 3, another audio track for the output of my SP-404, that's track 4, and my first audio track is for the input from the microphone with my lovely vocal accompaniment, Hilary. Everybody give it up for Hilary. So my plan is this. I haven't even actually discussed all the routing stuff, so let me just tell you that, and then I'll tell you my plan. Okay, so like I said, the SP-404 is here just for effects. I have this set up with the K-Mix. Again, the K-Mix, you have 8 ins and 10 outs, all right? And I'm setting it up so that anything that's being output from my circuit device, my Octatrack, or the microphone can be sent to the SP-404 for effects. I have the output of the SP-404 coming back into the K-Mix on channels 7 and 8. So any effects that are being sent to it, I can hear, and they're on their own separate channels there, okay? I also have it set up so that the output from the SP-404, the output from circuit, as well as the output from the microphone can all be sampled directly into the Octatrack. So discussing the K-Mix and the way that the ins and outs works, okay? On the back, you guys saw a diagram before. We have 8 balanced outputs. You have 2 XLR outputs, and then you have 6 quarter-inch outputs, okay? And then we have 8 quarter-inch outputs over here as well. Now, outputs 1 and 2 are my main outs, so those are going out to the speaker. Outputs 3 and 4 are auxiliary 1. Outputs 5 and 6 are aux 2. So aux 1 is going into my Octatrack. Aux 2 is going into the SP-404. Now, if we look at K-Mix, we can just focus on this for a second. There's some buttons up here that allow me to determine basically what I'm looking at with my touch faders and to be able to route audio to different places, okay? And I'm just going to explain this because after I get started, I don't really want to stop too much. So just so you'll understand what's going to happen, all right? So right now I'm looking at the my main setup, which is just basically showing me the track fader volume. So my 8 tracks, you can see with the touch strip, the volume's right there. And this is my main output. It's really loud. If I go to aux 1, okay, so this is what's going to be sent to my Octatrack. Right now, channels 5 and 6 represent circuit. Channels 7 and 8 represent the output of the SP-404. So I can sample circuit directly into my Octatrack. I can also sample circuit with the wet output from the 404. Or if I want to, I can sample just the output of the 404, so just the effects without any of the dry signal. So that's all being set up on aux 1. Let me turn this back up. If I go to aux 2, this is what's being sent to the SP-404. Now in this case, if I want to, if I get some loops going on Octatrack that I like, I can actually route the audio from Octatrack into the 404 and get some real-time effects on everything at once. Right now it's currently set up so that circuit will be sent to the 404 for processing. And I don't have the level up too loud because I don't want the effects to drown out the dry signal. All right, so that's the basic gist of what I have going on here. I'll talk a little bit about the onboard DSP once we get to start recording some vocals, but with that established, what I'm thinking is that I have no preconceived notion of what I'm going to do. I know that I have a tempo that I picked, I have some sounds from circuit that I want to maybe sample, and we have a vocalist that I can take vocals from and manipulate. So we're going to have some fun, and I'm going to do this on the fly, and you know, if anyone feels excited and wants to participate, maybe you can get up on the mic too. We'll just see how it goes, all right? Now, with K-Mix displayed, right now I'm just looking at the volume fader level. I actually have a VU button here so I can actually see the incoming track level as things are playing. And right now as I'm talking, I can actually see there's a little bit of level being picked up by the microphone on channel 1. So I'm going to play a little beat. I'm going to sample that, and then afterwards maybe we can get a little vocal lick from you, and then we'll start manipulating some stuff and just see what happens. All right, so here we go. I'm going to start the Octatrack. I have my circuit is slave to Octatrack sequencer, so when I press play here, circuit starts going. And I'm just going to lay down some very simple drums here, and I'm going to resample this after I make it run through some effects. Let me see. All right. So again, circuit is a very simple groove box. All right, so I've been able to create a little pattern very easily. What I want to do now is I want to resample the audio from circuit into my Octatrack. And I think I'd like to do that after I process this with some effects from the 404. So like I said, my 404 is on aux 2. And right now I can see circuit is already being sent to the 404. So what I need to do is actually turn up the output here And right now, I have a reverb that's up on here. What I like to do instead is maybe use some of this filter drive on my drums. If I go back to my main view here on K-Mix, I can see right now I'm getting audio on channels 5 and 6 from Circuit. I'm also seeing the audio from 7 and 8, which is my 404 here. And I think I like to exaggerate the distortion a bit more. So I'm going to go back to aux 2, and I'm going to turn up the audio being sent to my 404 a bit more. There we go. Now at this point, like I said, both Circuit and the 404 are being sent to my Octatrack. So I want to resample this. On my Octatrack, I have 8 tracks that I can sample audio directly into. So my first track is set up here. I'm going to go into my record setup and record this for a length of 16 steps. So when I'm ready, I'm going to arm this. So I'm recording this into my Octatrack right now. I'm going to go ahead and turn that effect off. I'm going to go back in here, and I'm going to lay that. All right, so now this is playing from my Octatrack. I just sampled this. And again, with the Octatrack, you can time stretch the audio in real time. So if I want to now, let me go into my playback mode here, make sure my time stretch is on. So now I can adjust the pitch of this. And I also have effects in Octatrack as well, and I think I like to maybe add a little bit of delay here. So let's see. All right. It's kind of a cool place to start. We also have a filter here as well, so I'm going to go ahead and filter out some of the highs just for now. We'll just use this as a nice little bass. There we go. I'm going to fatten up that bottom end a little bit. All right. Now, before I start adding more stuff, I think it'd be really cool to maybe capture some vocals from you. So I'm thinking I've got a couple different ideas. First, let me go ahead and, let me see, go to our main here, and channel 1, you're up. Okay. So I'm thinking initially, maybe if we get just like a sustained note, maybe like in the lower, lower register, just something sustained, but kind of like, how can I put it? Colorful and powerful, if that makes sense. Like throw some energy into it, but just more of a sustained kind of note. So I'll let you know when. Hold on a second. As a matter of fact, if you just want to just start going, and I'll just capture something on the fly. So. Okay, go ahead and keep that going. So what I'm thinking about doing with your voice right now, again, I've just recorded this into the Octatrack. And again, I'm using K-Mix in order to route that. I went to my aux 1, that's feeding the audio into my Octatrack. I turned up the first channel here, so I was able to capture that into my second track on the Octatrack. Now once I have the audio captured here, turn this up, and we'll go into here. Now let me see, do I have a filter up on here? No, I don't, okay. So I'm going to add a bit of reverb to your vocal, and what I think I'm going to do is actually layer this on a couple different tracks, but I want to play it out melodically, okay? So we'll find a key that works, and then from there, I'll have you lay some more stuff down if you don't mind. All right, so let me go to my time stretching here, and we're going to stretch you so you sound a little bit more alien and crazy here. Let's see. So I'm going to record a little melodic phrase with your vocal here. Let's see. All right, cool. All right, so I'm going to try and do this without stopping anything. All right, so our sequence just started over. All right, so we got that going there. So I'm going to add a bit of an effect here as well. I think we'll add some reverb. Let's see, our dark reverb. There we go. And, oh, that's right, I played this out chromatically. Okay, we'll leave you where you're at right now. Okay, so I'm gonna get one more layer from you, and then we'll start to add a few more things here. So let me go ahead and move on to my record screen. All right, so now what I'd like you to do is something a bit more rhythmic in a higher register, a bit more kind of staccato, maybe like 8th notes or 16th note, kind of just a rhythmic sort of, just gibberish basically, but just something more rhythmic, okay? Yeah. And whenever you're ready, I'll go ahead and start recording you, so take it away. Whenever you're ready, go ahead. Excellent. Okay, cool. So what I'm gonna do now is I've recorded your voice and I'm slicing this. So this will allow me to take your voice and basically play it in a completely different order, rearrange it, do something unique with it. So I'm gonna lay down. I'm putting steps into the step sequencer. Right now, each step is starting at the beginning of what you just said, but I'm gonna change this so that each step is actually playing a totally different slice. So let's go into here, go to my edit mode, and we are going to, yes, create random locks here. And what's cool about this is I can actually do this a few different times until I get a pattern that I really want. Let's try this one. Okay. Now let's reverse your voice. And I'm gonna adjust the attack a bit so it doesn't pop quite as much. All right, and let me go back to this first track. I'm gonna open this filter back up, and we're gonna add some more drums here. And let me see, go to this last step here. And we're gonna adjust what Slice is playing here. Okay, and I think I might have you do one more thing, but this one I want to add like a lot of effects to. So let me see, let's go ahead and filter this out again. And we're gonna mute this one right now. And okay, so this time what I wanna do is I'm gonna get you to sing, but I'm gonna be running your voice through some of the effects on here and record all of that in real time, all right? So let me find something that'd be cool. I think what would be nice is to get you going through a lot of delay and just kind of create a wall of just cacophonous delay. So before we get too deep into it, if you can just give me a few just like kind of quick stabs. I just want to hear what the delay sounds like on your voice. Nice. I think that'll work quite well. Okay. All right. So, and again, this is all possible because with the K-Mix, I'm able to route the mic to the SP-404 without routing anything else there. Okay, and then I can record all that back to the Octatrack because I have such flexible routing. Okay, this is really like, I would need a much bigger mixer to accomplish something which seems pretty simple, but this is all good stuff. All right, so anyway, let me go back here, and I want to set this up so I can record you for a longer amount of time. And once we have this, it'll be the same sort of deal. If you can just give me like short bursts, quick little stabs, kind of in that same octave that you're working with, that would be perfect. If you can move a little bit, that would be cool. That'd be cool. Because ultimately, I'm just trying to just capture magic, just randomly where it happens. So, see, every artist should be so easy to work with. All right. And wait, almost. Okay, we got that. I have my delay here. Okay.
Do you hear high-low register?
No, actually, just have some fun with it, and we'll just we'll capture something out of it. All right. So whenever you're ready, go ahead and go. got you. It's one of the things I love about this Octatrack. You can immediately play something back right after you sample it. All right, so that's freaking cool. That makes me smile. Thank you. Okay. All right. So I've got 4 tracks of audio that I've sampled. And I think really maybe just the first 2 and this 4th one, that sound is cool, but I really, really like this right now, okay? So what I like to do now is maybe add some more percussive stuff, add some more drums, things like that. And one thing that I've been, I don't know, maybe not a big fan of, but something that I've really enjoyed doing when I've been younger is just beatboxing. It's just fun. You have a beat in your head, you just start messing around. I'm not an amazing beatboxer, but I can do enough to get a rhythm out that works. And I was having fun practicing for this whole little demo thing, beatboxing and then running it through a bit of distortion, a bit of overdrive, and using that as a percussive layer on top of the drums. That was one of the main reasons I filtered out the drums previously, because I want to use a higher layer that's maybe, you know, organically driven from my mouthpiece. So I'm going to go to track 5 here, and on this track, so I think that little bit, as feedbacky as it is, will actually work. So now I'm going to turn aux 1 down from the mic, so I don't need to get that anymore. Let me turn my device back up here. And let's see what I got. Let's see. Okay, so I can hear that in the background. All right. Now what I like to do really quickly with this, it's feedback. I actually don't mind that, because I'm just going to use this as some element of sound design, okay? Now, I don't really want to use the loop like this. I'd rather kind of slice this up and then maybe play the parts in a more rhythmic sort of way. So just like I did before, let me go into my edit mode here. And again, the whole thing with having K-Mix here, the fact that I don't have to fiddle with it too much, it's just there and just does what it needs to do. Does what it needs to do, there we go. Is really important. I shouldn't have to fiddle with the mixer too much and try to dive in and out of different modes and whatnot. So the fact that I can focus on my other gear is a really, really big plus, okay? Spending a month on the road with this and not needing to worry about finding some specific setting or something like that, it's just very, very helpful, okay? So even though I'm spending more time on the other gear, that's the reason why, because K-Mix is just doing his job, all right? So with that said, let me go ahead and slice this up. This is a 1-bar loop that I did. Octatrack uses steps, so it's 16 steps long. My little fake snare sound is basically happening on the 5th and 13th step. So I want to take this 1-bar loop and slice it into 4 even slices. That's what I'm getting at. So I'm going to go ahead and create a slice grid. That's how you do that in here. And I'm going to make 4 even slices. And by doing that, now I'll take away that little note that's playing, and I can enter a slice mode here. Let me actually go ahead and turn this down. The mic is in there pretty hot. Okay, so now I'm in a slice mode here, and if I get out of the record mode, yes, my slices are there. Let me turn my slice on. Here we go. And what's nice about that is that you're not actually doing anything destructive, okay? So I've sliced it into 4 slices. Maybe I want to slice it into 8 instead, which I've just determined that I do. I can go back into that same mode, and I'm going to create another slice grid, but this time it'll be 8 slices. Again, nothing destructive. It just changes where it's separated the sample. There we go. All right. All right, so now I'm just going to add a little pattern with this. Let me go ahead and bring my drums back in. All right, let me go ahead and just record a little pattern with this. All right, and I've got a filter that I can use here as well, so I'm going to go ahead and filter out some of those low frequencies and try to blend this in properly with my other little drums. Let's see. Clean that up a little bit. All right, and I'm going to go to these other drums over here, open this up just a little bit. I'm going to bring Hilary back in here. is I think I'd like to start recording some of this into Ableton Live and then maybe add some things on the computer from there. Now, one thing I haven't pointed out is the fact that Ableton Live is up and running, and I have Live right now slaved to everything that I'm playing. Like I said, Live is not really the main focal point here. It's just here so I can start multi-track recording. And I've got it set up so that my circuit is slaved to the Octatrack's clock. This is the master clock. And I have it so that Ableton Live is slaved to Circuit via USB. So I'm basically using Circuit as like a MIDI interface between my Octatrack and my computer. Now, it's worth noting that if you have the MIDI extender from Keith McMillen, you can actually utilize MIDI with K-Mix as well. I didn't bring it with me, and I realized that I had Circuit, and I didn't really need to bring it with me, but that's just another nice feature as well, okay, having MIDI in and out with K-Mix. But again, with that said, I've got Ableton Live slaved to this stuff, so the clock is already in sync. I'm at 93 BPM. I want to start recording some stuff, and again, I think this would be a good chance. In just a second, I can record you in real time, doing some stuff on top of this, yeah, we'll just kind of bring it all full circle, all right? I've still got more sounds I can add from Circuit as well, so I'm nowhere near done, but I want to just start tracking some stuff. So, how many of you are familiar with Ableton Live? Okay, a handful of you. That's a good sign, being that we're at a music school. For those of you who aren't, Ableton Live is a very unique DAW, digital audio workstation, that allows you to work with audio in a very non-linear way. So basically, you can have multiple, pieces of audio or MIDI clips of different lengths, different loop lengths. Some of them don't have to loop. You can trigger them whenever you want to, play them in different combination whenever you want, and you're never stuck with a linear arrangement unless you want that, all right? When it comes to creating, it's a great way to work, in my opinion, and it's the main reason why it's my main DAW. So, as I mentioned before, I got 4 tracks set up to start recording some stuff. Right now, the only thing that's actually generating any audio currently is the Octatrack. So I'm going to start tracking the Octatrack into here. Since I'm monitoring directly from K-Mix, I don't want to monitor for my tracks in Ableton Live. So I've turned my monitor off. I've got this track arm to play. Let me go ahead and turn up my output. Now, the other nice thing about having this set up where Live is slaving to everything is that if I wanted to, with the Octatrack, I have 4 outputs. I have my main outs and my Q outs. I could have routed those to 4 different inputs in K-Mix, but I've already got a bunch of other stuff plugged in. I didn't want to take up extra inputs. Now, since it's MIDI, it's slaved to the clock, I could record this in multiple passes to get the individual parts separated, okay? So that's one way I could tackle that, and then anything coming from Circuit and the SP-404 is automatically going to be on its own separate track, okay? So with that said, I think I'm going to get the drums here first. So I got the drums going by themselves. I'm going to capture that as a clip. I don't know if you can actually see this. Oh, you can kind of see. All right. So I'm capturing this as an audio clip. The minute I stop recording, it's going to play back that clip. So that's why we're hearing the audio twice. Now at this point, if I was to mute out the tracks on Octatrack, so now I'm just hearing the audio from Ableton Live in real time. Again, I'm not stopping anything. Ideally, if I can avoid it, I don't want to have to stop the transport at all through this whole demonstration, okay? So I've been able to record that, mute the stuff in Octatrack, hear what's playing back in Ableton Live in real time, no discernible latency at all, okay? I'm going to set up another track for my Octatrack. I'll go ahead and duplicate this one, delete this clip, and on this next track, I'm going to get the vocal parts. So and actually, I might as well get those separate as well. So I'll get this first. Because ideally what I like to do is take this and drop it an octave lower. Bring the Barry White out in your voice. All right, so we got that in real time. That's been recorded. We're now hearing the clip play from Ableton Live. I'm going to create one more duplicate. And with this one, we're going to get the higher vocal line here. So let me go ahead and bring that in. And let's record this bad boy. All right. Lovely. All right. So now that this stuff is in Ableton Live, I can play with it in some different ways. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and take this piece, and I've been wanting to do this for a while. I'm going to drop this an octave. And since we have you in Ableton Live, we can start using some effects from Live as well. I like things to be fuzzy. because I like fuzzy stuff. And there's a device here called Redux that'll make you very digitally fuzzy. I'm going to reduce the bit rate here. Nice. That's a human voice, people. I like it. All right. And let's unsolo this. Okay, very, very cool. All right. So again, nothing's been stopped, so everything is still in sync. What I like to do now, I have this device circuit over here, this thing right here, and I've had the volume turned down on this. I'm gonna go ahead and solo a blank track. I didn't stop anything, I just soloed an empty track. With this device here, I initially used this for the first drums that I recorded, okay? And I filtered those, and I'm kind of just using those mainly for the bass. At this point now, I can start doing some other stuff with Circuit, run it through my SP-404, do some very unique things, and capture all of that directly into Ableton Live. So that's basically where I want to go next, okay? So let me unsolo this again, and I'm going to start focus on building some more percussion, and then after that, I think we'll be ready for another vocal take.
Great.
Awesome. You're a trooper, by the way. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, all right. So let's unsolo this. All right, and like I said, right now I want to concentrate on the drums primarily, so I'm going to go ahead and focus on that. I'm going to turn Circuit up here, make sure nothing else is playing. All right. Now, one feature I like a lot about Circuit is that you can add positive or negative swing, okay? So you can either shuffle the 8 notes that are in between the 16th notes a little bit later or a little bit earlier in time. And this gives you some very unique applications. So let me go here, make sure that's turned up. And I'm going to go into my swing. And if I give this the most negative swing I possibly can, it almost sounds like you're just playing 8 notes. You kind of get like this little flared sort of hi-hat sound going on. And I like that quite a bit. I also like the fact that you can automate directly on Circuit. So for instance, pitch changes. If I want to automate that, I'll hit record. So now that's been automated. If I go to my swing over here, so then I can go all the way from a negative swing to a positive swing. And the point is that I can easily capture this in Ableton Live in real time as I'm tweaking this, because it's all going through K-Mix, all right? Now, let me turn off the delay that's on here. Let's see, is that? All right, and I'm gonna go back to the regular swing for now, because I think I'd also like to add maybe a bit of delay from the 404, all right? The more you can kind of color your sounds and tweak them, the more you can make them your own, and I'm all about that. So, there we go, it's already being sent. Now, Keith had made mention earlier about the space echo, okay, or a space delay, or a tape delay. And this delay that I'm using emulates a tape delay. So as you speed it up, whatever's being delayed increases in pitch. And as you slow the delay speed down, whatever's being delayed drops in pitch, okay? So I want to incorporate that with my little swing changes as I record this, okay? So I'm going to start recording this into Ableton Live, but again, I'm going to record in the SP-404 as well. I have 2 tracks in Ableton Live, one for the output of my Circuit, another for the output of the 404. So I'm going to record a clip in both of these tracks. I'll have the dry hi-hat separate from the effect, so then I can mix those later if I want to, all right? So let me start this now. There we go. All right, so now I got 2 tracks recording, 2 clips, and I'm just gonna start playing around with some of these settings as I record. And the beauty of working in a way like this, more than likely I wouldn't keep this entire tape, but if I record 32 bars, there might be 2 bars of magic in there, you know? And it gives you a chance to add more of a human element into more loop-based music, because you're tweaking more things in real time. All right, so I like that. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and stop recording these 2 clips. All right, and let me go ahead and stop this in the Circuit. Okay, So again, without stopping anything, we're hearing in real time what was recorded. That's the dry hat, a hi-hat. And that's the output just of the SP-404. All right. And again, having the output just from the effect gives me a lot of very cool, creative options. I could maybe take one part of this effect and slice that up and use it as a percussive element and just keep going further and further manipulating these sounds, okay? But again, the point is that it's so easy to capture audio from different sources and have them separated because everything's running through separate channels in K-Mix. All right, that's going. We added some percussive layers. I think one last thing I want to do is maybe add like a snare or something, and then we're going to add some more vocal stylings here. So let me see. Turn my swing back. And like I said, with Circuit, all the sounds are built in. There's actually a pretty nice little clap sound I want to use, if I can find it. Let's see. And let me make sure that my mixer is up. There we go. And that's why. Okay, I got some automation going on here I wasn't aware of. So let me just change all that. There we go. All right. There's a clap that I'm hearing. I like to add maybe some reverb to that clap. There's actually effects in the Circuit device, so I'm going to add some reverb to this. All right. And I'm going to turn my little hi-hat sounds down here. There we go. And okay. So record this as well. My little clap. Now after I record this, I'm going to bring up the K-Mix editor and I'm going to point out an important distinction that's going to help me when I'm recording these vocals. All right, so I've got all this stuff going on in Ableton Live. Things are getting interesting. Okay, so let me go ahead and turn this down a bit. And like I said, I'm going to bring up the editor. Hopefully you guys will be able to see this. All right, so on my screen, what I've just brought up is the K-Mix editor. Now, this can function as a standalone mixer. You don't have to use a computer with this at all if you don't want to. It also works as an audio interface, which is what I'm mainly demonstrating right now. And when you have this connected to your computer, you will have this editor available to you if you choose to use it. You don't have to, but it's there, and it gives you a very nice visual interface in terms of what's going on in K-Mix. Now, up to this point, let me go ahead and change. I'm going to go to, we have different tabs up here for different sections, and one of the tabs is the USB tab. Now, since I'm using this as an audio interface, I have a few different options for how the audio goes into the computer and how it comes out of the computer. And there's a pre and a post mode for all the different channels. So up to this point, I've been using pre, meaning that the audio passes through K-Mix and then goes through the computer totally unaffected. It's unaffected by the volume fader, it bypasses any DSP, it just goes directly into the computer, okay? Now let's say I wanted to capture a vocal that has some compression and some gating and maybe a little bit of EQ from K-Mix and want to capture all that directly on the recording. Well, in that case, I'm going to want to use the post mode. So I just changed channel 1 to post. And now, any processing done on K-Mix, I'll be able to capture that in the computer as well. Let's go back here. And I want to point out some of the DSP functionality. The mic is plugged into channel 1. And if I want to, let's say, maybe add some compression, I have a button on K-Mix here that says, where's it at? Here, that says comp. And if I press this, I'm able to apply compression to any of the 8 channels that I have here. And then these knobs, these rotaries will allow me to change certain aspects of the compression. There's actually text below each one of these rotaries, so depending on what sort of DSP you're trying to add, you can have an idea of what the rotaries will do. So for instance, if I want to add some compression, this first rotary here is the threshold. And basically, when you go to a channel strip, you'll see the effects on that channel strip, and you'll see the parameters that you're affecting. So if I adjust this parameter here for the threshold of my compressor, in the editor, I'm seeing the threshold is moving in real time. So it's the little green knob, if you can see that there. That's my threshold there, okay? So I can see that changing in real time as I'm adjusting this. I have my ratio, which is here, and 3 to 1. Let's go for maybe like a 4 to 1 ratio. Should be pretty good. And I'll actually test this out once you get up here. And then we have our makeup gain here. So I have my compressor, I have my gate, I have my EQ, and then there's also a master reverb. But right now I just want to focus on the compression and the gating, okay? So if you could do me a favor, and let's see. All right. So I'd like you to just, I'm trying to think of what would be a good sort of test here. Because I want to test the compression and the gate as well. And is there sort of like a go-to kind of like warm-up or practice song that you normally do, or to kind of like warm up your vocals? Or
Yeah, I can just sing a section of the piece or something like that if you want.
that'd be perfect.
Yeah.
That'd be perfect. Okay, cool.
Światło Twe daleko widzi, po świecie bardziej szerokim, dywasz se w bitki lidí, po świecie Dywasz se w bitki lidí. Mnie zyczko postój chwili. Rozszaknij mi, rozszaknij, kdo ja mój mili. Mnie zyczko postój chwili. Rozszaknij mi, rozszaknij, kdo ja mój mili.
You have a gorgeous voice.
Thanks.
I'm just here as background fodder. So hopefully you were able to hear a little bit of the changes. I was playing with the compression going, as Hilary was singing, just in the makeup gain a little bit, playing with the threshold. I don't want to go too crazy because, obviously we're not working in headphones, and you guys should know the fatal law of feedback. Don't want to hurt your ears here. But the point is having this onboard DSP and having that available to me where I can record with compression, with gating, with an EQ, and not need to rely on internal processing for that from my computer. It's a really, really big help, especially in a live performance scenario. Well, a quick example, and then I'll get you to record something for real, okay? Working with Saul Williams on this tour. It's just me and him. I'm basically handling all of the sound. From night to night, we realized the people that were working on his voice didn't really know how to handle his voice. Saul has a really, really deep voice. At times, the show is really dynamic, and he's kind of screaming, and sometimes he's very quiet. And it's just, it's to me, it's not that difficult to tame, but it's because I know him and I've been on the road with him. So we've been thinking, we have a mixer here. We're able to plug in the mic directly. Why don't we just control the mic and everything directly from K-Mix? So that's the approach that we're going to be using on the next tour. And being able to have that amount of control and that onboard processing during a live performance where maybe you're not trying to go and use this as an audio interface. Maybe you're just using this strictly as a dedicated mixer. Having that functionality is a huge, huge help, okay? Now, with that whole spiel done, I'm gonna go ahead and get my editor out of the way. I'm gonna unsolo this. We're gonna play some stuff. And if you'd be so kind as just to, kind of, I don't know, I would like you to kind of, I guess, sort of freestyle on top of the beat if you don't mind.
Yeah, just like floaty or like.
More floaty, kind of, it's something not so dense, just kind of playing around. Because the other piece that you have there is a bit more, there's more going on with it. So like complementary ad-libbing.
Yep.
Yeah? Okay, cool. All right, so let me go ahead and bring this up. About to get crazy, y'all. All right, hold on a second. So give me a quick mic check, if you don't mind. for dramatic effects. Okay. And I'll wait till the cycle's over, and then I'll start it back up. All right, cool. And there we go. And at some point, oh, that's right. See, this is important to keep track of what you're doing. So I recorded the vocals, but I had the effects going through the 404, and I didn't actually set up a channel to record that. So I didn't get my cool little effects, but I have the vocal, and I have so many effects in Ableton Live. So I've still captured the good stuff. Now, ultimately, the whole point of all this is just to give you an idea of what's possible with K-Mix. And for me, having a device this small with that much flexibility where I can get in all of these actual quarter-inch inputs and output. When I first saw the back of this, I was really, really impressed. I don't know if I'm a geek, so that just, it doesn't take much, but even that alone in that small little space, I was really kind of blown away. The compression sounds really good. The preamps sound really good. The gating is extremely effective. It's a really awesome device, and I was kind of coveting this for a while when I first saw it. And when I got my hands on it, I was expecting to not really see the big deal and not really understand the hybrid functionality of it. It's extremely impressive, and this is for my own personal, having on the road for a month, using it at home, comparing it to, I have a Claret 8 Pre. I don't know if you guys are familiar. It's an audio interface made by Focusrite, and they make some incredible audio interfaces. They make some great, great stuff. And comparing the Claret 8 Pre, which is a Thunderbolt interface, and the preamps on that to the preamps on this, I didn't really hear that much of a difference, which is significant. The Focusrite preamps are, they're really, really good. So, I don't know. I've gotten a ton of use out of it, and for me, it's just fun to sort of talk about the process and then actually show you guys what's possible. And none of this was pre-planned. So, yeah. So hopefully, you see why K-Mix can be useful. Maybe there's some ways you can integrate it into your setup. And hopefully you've enjoyed the presentation. If you guys have any questions, there's some gear here for you to get your hands on. I will be here for a while. Keith, I'm sure, is still here somewhere, maybe drinking his beer. I don't know. I want another one too. But yeah, so again, my name is Thavius Beck. This is K-Mix, and thank you guys for your time and your attention. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
That's awesome. Yes, and give it up to Hilary,
I think we figured out the
real
feedback.
star of the show.
This was on the whole time. Yeah, what's your last name, Hilary?
Whitmore.
Hilary Whitmore. Give it up for her one more time.
Yes.